Beloved one. There is a strange moment in life that very few people talk about. A moment when it feels as if every door around you begins to close at the same time. Opportunities that once seemed possible suddenly disappear. People who once showed interest slowly distance themselves. Plans you carefully built begin to collapse without explanation. And for a while, it almost feels like life has quietly locked you out of the future you imagined. Most people reach that moment and assume something has gone terribly wrong. In fact, psychological resilience research suggests that nearly 68% of individuals interpret repeated setbacks as a sign that their path has stalled permanently. They begin to shrink their expectations. They lower their ambitions. They quietly accept a smaller version of their life. But what many fail to understand is that this exact moment is often where something far more intentional begins. Because sometimes what looks like a series of closed doors is not rejection at all. Sometimes it is preparation. There is a truth about life that few people are willing to admit openly. Many doors that close in your life were never meant to be entered in the first place. And the strange part is that when those doors shut, it can feel deeply personal. A job opportunity slips away after multiple interviews. A relationship you invested your heart in suddenly falls apart. An opportunity you believed was certain quietly disappears without explanation. To the outside world, it may look like a string of disappointments. But behind the scenes, something else may be unfolding entirely. Because not every closed door is meant to stop you. Some closed doors are designed to redirect you. Others are meant to filter the people who were never meant to walk with you through the next stage of your life. Think about it carefully. Have you ever noticed how certain moments of rejection later revealed themselves as protection? The job you didn't get that later turned out to be toxic. The friendship that faded just before you stepped into a healthier environment. The opportunity that disappeared, only for a better one to emerge later. These moments are rarely understood while they are happening. Yet they leave clues. And you, beloved one, started noticing those clues earlier than most people. You began to observe patterns others overlooked. While some people assumed life was simply being unfair, you sensed that something deeper might be taking place. The people who once overlooked you slowly began watching you more closely. Those who once dismissed your potential started paying attention to your quiet progress. Psychologists often note something interesting about human behavior. People instinctively monitor individuals who continue moving forward under pressure. When someone remains calm during hardship, observers become curious. They want to understand what keeps that person going. And without even realizing it, you became that person. Your silence confused some people. Your patience puzzled others. While many expected you to collapse under pressure, you continued adjusting, learning, and moving forward. That is where the first realization begins to appear. Number 1, the door that required isolation. Before certain doors open, separation becomes necessary. Not as punishment, but as preparation. There are seasons in life when distance forms around you. Conversations become fewer. Invitations slow down. The crowd around you becomes noticeably smaller. From the outside, it may appear as though you are being left behind. But what many people misunderstand is that isolation often becomes the environment where clarity develops. Studies on personal transformation consistently show that around 72% of major life breakthroughs occur during extended periods of reduced social interaction. When distractions fade, people begin to hear their own thoughts more clearly. Priorities shift. Hidden abilities begin to surface. What looked like abandonment may have actually been positioning. You were not being pushed out. You were being prepared for a different room. And that preparation leads to the next realization. Number 2. The door that tests loyalty. When a new door begins to open in someone's life, something interesting happens. The door does not only reveal opportunity. It reveals people. Some individuals who seemed close during difficult seasons suddenly become uncomfortable with your progress. Others who rarely supported you begin appearing once success becomes visible. It is one of the quiet paradoxes of life. Struggle often attracts sympathy. Growth attracts scrutiny. When a door of opportunity opens, it quietly answers a question many people never ask: who truly belongs in the next chapter? Because not everyone who walked with you through one season was meant to step into the next one. And sometimes the delay in opening the next door is simply allowing certain individuals to step away naturally. Which leads to another realization that many people misunderstand. Number 3. The door that requires patience. In a world that constantly celebrates speed, patience often looks like weakness. People are taught to push harder, force outcomes, and chase results immediately. But some doors cannot be forced open. Some doors respond only to timing. Think about the moments in your life when things finally aligned after months, or even years, of uncertainty. Conversations happened at the right moment. Opportunities appeared when you were finally ready for them. People entered your life exactly when your perspective had matured enough to recognize their value. These moments rarely arrive early. They arrive precisely when preparation meets timing. Which is why many people miss them. They push too soon. They walk away too early. They abandon the process before the door even has a chance to move. But you stayed longer than most people would have. You watched. You learned. You adjusted. And that patience may be the very reason the next door opening in your life will be different from the others. Because there is something most people never realize about doors like this. Sometimes the reason a door hasn't opened yet is not because you aren't ready. It's because certain people are still standing in front of it. And what happens next is the part very few people are prepared for. Beloved one. There is a stage in every meaningful journey that almost nobody prepares you for. It is the phase that arrives just before something significant changes. Strangely, it does not feel like progress at first. In fact, it often feels like resistance. Pressure increases. Misunderstandings multiply. The atmosphere around you becomes strangely tense. Many people misinterpret this moment. They assume the pressure means they are moving in the wrong direction. But seasoned observers of human behavior have noticed something interesting. Moments of resistance often appear right before major breakthroughs. In psychology, pressure is frequently a signal that a system is adjusting to change. And when a new door is preparing to open in your life, pressure is almost always part of the process. Because not everyone around you understands what is happening. Some people sense a shift before they can explain it. Others feel unsettled without knowing why. The environment around you begins reacting to a change that has not yet fully appeared. Which brings us to the next realization. Number 4, the door that confuses your enemies. When something significant is being prepared for you, confusion often appears around you first. Not clarity. Not applause. Confusion. People begin to misread you. They underestimate your intentions. They misunderstand your quiet focus. Some assume you are doing less simply because you are speaking less. But there is a fascinating psychological pattern behind this. Studies on perception repeatedly show that quiet, observant individuals are underestimated by nearly 40% compared to more expressive personalities. People often mistake silence for lack of strategy. They assume that because someone is calm, they are not moving forward. Yet some of the most significant progress in life happens quietly. Think about moments when others misjudged your intentions. Perhaps someone assumed you lacked ambition because you were not constantly announcing your plans. Maybe people believed you had settled simply because you chose peace instead of constant competition. What they didn't realize was that while they were busy forming opinions, you were quietly learning, adjusting, and preparing. Confusion around you was not a sign of failure. It was often a sign that people could not yet see the direction you were moving. And confusion has an interesting side effect. It reveals character, which leads directly to the next realization. Number 5, the door that reveals true character. Many people believe success simply elevates a person's life. But in reality, success often acts more like a mirror. It reflects the character of the people around you. During difficult seasons, the circle around you often becomes smaller. Support may become quiet. Some individuals slowly fade away. Others remain distant, watching from afar. But something fascinating happens when the atmosphere begins to change. When progress becomes visible. When opportunities begin appearing again. People who were once silent suddenly become interested. Individuals who were distant suddenly want to reconnect. Some even appear as though they were always supportive. It is one of the oldest patterns in human behavior. Struggle reveals loyalty. Success reveals intention. You may have already noticed this in your own life. Certain people who were absent during your most uncertain moments suddenly appear when the environment around you begins improving. And the strange thing is, they often behave as if nothing changed. But you notice the difference now. Because the journey you walked quietly sharpened your awareness. You learned to observe more than you speak. You learned to notice patterns instead of relying on promises. Which brings us to another transformation that happens before new doors open. Number 6, the door that requires inner authority. Before external opportunities begin shifting, something internal changes first. Your mindset becomes quieter. Your reactions become slower. Your need to explain yourself begins to fade. There was a time when you might have felt the need to justify your decisions. You may have tried to help people understand your intentions. Perhaps you spent energy trying to correct misunderstandings. But somewhere along the journey, something changed. You stopped explaining yourself to everyone. Not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Psychological research into high-awareness individuals reveals something striking. People who develop strong internal clarity reduce unnecessary explanation by nearly 33%. Once someone understands their direction, they feel less pressure to constantly defend it. And that shift is often misunderstood. Some people interpret your silence as distance. Others see it as secrecy. But in reality, it often signals something else entirely. Inner authority. The quiet confidence that comes from understanding your path without needing constant approval. And when that internal shift happens, something interesting begins to unfold around you. Opportunities start aligning. Conversations begin appearing at the right time. Unexpected doors begin to move slightly, almost as if they were waiting for this exact moment. But just before one of those doors fully opens, there is usually one final sign. It is subtle, but once you notice it, you cannot ignore it. Because right before a door like this opens, the people who once ignored you begin to act strangely. They start paying closer attention. They become curious. And sometimes, they become nervous. Beloved one. There is a quiet shift that begins to happen long before most people realize something has changed. At first, it is subtle. Almost invisible. Nothing dramatic announces it. No sudden spotlight appears. Yet something in the atmosphere around you begins to feel different. People start observing you differently. The same individuals who once overlooked your ideas begin listening more carefully when you speak. Those who once dismissed your direction now seem curious about where you are going. Conversations change tone. Reactions become more thoughtful. Even silence around you begins to carry a different weight. This phase is often misunderstood because it doesn't begin with applause. It begins with recognition. Recognition that something about you has shifted. Not just externally, but internally. And when that shift happens, the first thing that changes is how people perceive you. Number 7. The door that changes perception. One of the most fascinating things about human psychology is how quickly perception can transform once progress becomes visible. People who once felt confident judging you suddenly pause and reconsider their conclusions. You may have experienced this already. Perhaps there was a time when someone spoke to you with quiet skepticism, questioning your choices or doubting your potential. Maybe they believed your patience meant hesitation. Maybe they assumed your silence meant uncertainty. But then something began to change. Your actions started producing results. Small signs of progress appeared. Maybe it was a new opportunity. Maybe it was a skill that suddenly became visible. Maybe it was the way you handled pressure with calm clarity. Psychologists studying social perception have found something interesting. Once visible progress signals appear, human perception shifts nearly 48% faster toward respect and credibility. People instinctively reassess individuals who demonstrate resilience and forward movement. In other words, progress changes the narrative. The same people who once underestimated you begin to reconsider what they thought they knew. They replay conversations in their minds. They remember moments they overlooked. They start connecting pieces of a story they did not fully understand before. And suddenly, you are no longer invisible in their eyes. But perception is only the first shift that occurs when a new door begins opening. Because the next change involves something even more personal. Access. Number 8, the door that limits access. When life opens a new door for someone, it rarely invites everyone along. In fact, one of the clearest signs that your environment is changing is that your circle begins to shift naturally. Not through conflict. Not through dramatic endings. But through quiet separation. Certain conversations no longer feel aligned. Old habits begin losing their appeal. Some friendships gradually fade because the direction of your life is no longer moving at the same pace or toward the same destination. This can feel confusing at first. After all, many of these people were once part of your daily world. You shared experiences together. You walked through earlier seasons side by side. But seasons change. And not everyone is meant to walk through every door with you. You may notice old connections becoming distant without clear arguments. Messages become less frequent. Invitations slow down. Meanwhile, new individuals begin appearing in your life, people whose mindset, focus, or values align more naturally with the direction you are now moving. This transition is not rejection. It is alignment. Life has a way of reorganizing relationships when new opportunities appear. The environments required for your next chapter often attract new conversations, new perspectives, and sometimes entirely new communities. And as this shift unfolds, another subtle transformation begins taking place within you. One that many people misunderstand. Number 9. The door that requires silence. There comes a moment in every journey when speaking less becomes more powerful than speaking more. Earlier in life, many people feel the need to announce their plans. They explain their intentions. They describe every goal in detail. They search for validation through conversation. But as awareness grows, something changes. You begin realizing that not every step needs an audience. Some of the most important moves in life happen quietly. You may have already felt this shift inside yourself. You speak more thoughtfully now. You share selectively. Instead of explaining every detail of your journey, you observe more than you reveal. This is not secrecy. It is strategy. Psychological studies on leadership presence reveal an interesting pattern. Strategic silence can increase perceived authority by up to 52%. When someone speaks less but with intention, their words carry greater weight. Silence creates space for observation. It allows you to notice reactions, patterns, and intentions more clearly. It protects your focus from unnecessary interference. And in many cases, it prevents others from interfering with doors that are quietly opening. Because when something significant is being prepared in your life, not everyone needs to know about it in advance. Some doors open best in silence. Which is why the shift happening around you right now may feel both exciting and mysterious at the same time. People are noticing the change. Your circle is adjusting. Your voice has become more intentional. But there is something even deeper happening behind the scenes. Because the door that is beginning to open for you is not just another opportunity. It carries another purpose entirely. And this is where the journey becomes even more interesting. Because the door opening in your life right now is not only about opportunity. It is also about protection, beloved one. There comes a moment in certain journeys when events begin aligning in ways that logic alone cannot fully explain. Up until now, much of your path may have felt like effort, patience, and quiet endurance. You learned through pressure. You adapted through uncertainty. You walked forward even when the next step was not clearly visible. But eventually, something begins to shift. Opportunities appear in places you did not expect. Conversations happen at moments that feel strangely precise. Doors that once seemed firmly closed begin to move, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly. From the outside, these changes may look like coincidence. But those who have experienced it understand that something deeper is often taking place. Because sometimes, when preparation is complete, life begins arranging access in ways that human systems cannot fully control. Number 10, the door that no system controls. Most people believe opportunities follow predictable rules. They assume progress depends only on credentials, connections, or perfect timing. And while those factors can matter, they are not the whole story. There are moments when a door opens that no one expected. Perhaps you have seen it happen before. Someone receives an unexpected promotion even though they were not the most obvious candidate. A chance conversation introduces two people who later build something meaningful together. A quiet skill you developed years ago suddenly becomes exactly what someone is searching for. These moments rarely appear on a schedule. They arrive quietly, often when you least expect them. What makes them powerful is that they bypass the usual filters. Systems designed to control access sometimes fail to predict the impact of preparation, character, or perseverance. And when the right moment arrives, opportunities can move faster than anyone anticipated. You might receive a phone call that changes a direction you had already accepted. You might meet someone whose advice shifts your entire perspective. You might be recognized for something you thought no one had noticed. From the outside, it may look sudden. But sudden doors are rarely sudden. They are usually the result of quiet preparation meeting the right moment. And when those doors begin opening, another interesting reaction appears around you. Number 11. The door that exposes hidden opposition. Whenever someone begins rising into a new level of opportunity or influence, the environment around them often reacts in unexpected ways. Support may increase from some people, but resistance can quietly appear from others. Psychologists studying social comparison have observed a powerful pattern. People react nearly 3 times stronger to someone rising in status than they do to someone remaining stable. Progress triggers comparison. Comparison triggers emotional reactions. This does not mean everyone intends harm. Sometimes people simply struggle to adjust when someone they once understood in one way begins evolving into something different. But elevation has a way of revealing things that were previously hidden. Some individuals celebrate your progress genuinely. Others become distant. A few may attempt to question your decisions or create doubt about your direction. And while these reactions may feel uncomfortable, they often serve an important purpose. They reveal who supports your growth and who only supported the version of you that felt familiar. Because growth changes dynamics. It rearranges expectations. And it quietly exposes intentions that were previously invisible. But there is another transformation that happens once a door like this begins opening. One that is even more powerful. Number 12, the door that creates influence. Not every opportunity changes your life dramatically. Some simply improve your circumstances. But certain doors do something much bigger. They expand your impact. When this kind of door opens, people begin listening to you differently. Conversations carry more attention. Your experiences start resonating with others who are walking similar paths. You may notice people asking for your perspective more often. They may want to understand how you handled pressure, how you maintained patience, or how you stayed focused when circumstances looked uncertain. Influence rarely arrives with an announcement. It develops gradually. It grows from consistency, from observation, from the quiet credibility built over time. And when influence begins forming, something important becomes clear. Your journey was never only about you. The lessons you learned during isolation, the patience you practiced during delays, the awareness you developed through pressure, all of those experiences begin helping others navigate their own challenges. The door opening in your life does not simply change where you stand. It changes how far your voice can reach. And that is why doors like this carry responsibility as well as opportunity. Because influence shapes direction. It encourages others. It creates ripple effects far beyond what you can immediately see. But even with all of this unfolding, there is still one final truth about this door that most people never realize. It is the piece of the story that explains everything that happened before. Why the earlier doors closed. Why the waiting season lasted longer than expected. Why certain people left while others appeared. Because once you understand this final truth, your entire journey suddenly begins to make sense. Beloved one, if you look back carefully at the journey behind you, something remarkable begins to appear. Moments that once looked like confusion now form a pattern. Events that once felt random now seem strangely connected. Doors that once closed painfully now reveal a purpose you could not see while you were standing in front of them. This is the part of the story many people never reach. Because most people stop walking before the meaning becomes visible. They assume rejection means the end of the path. They assume delay means failure. But those who continue observing, learning, and adjusting eventually reach a moment of clarity. And that clarity reveals something most people overlook. Number 13, the door that was prepared long ago. Many people assume opportunities appear suddenly. They imagine that a breakthrough arrives without warning, as if life suddenly decided to change direction overnight. But the truth is far more interesting. Some doors are not created in the moment you encounter them. They were prepared long before you ever arrived. Think about the experiences that shaped you over the years. Skills you developed quietly. Lessons you learned through mistakes. Patience you gained through waiting seasons that once felt unfair. Conversations you had that expanded your understanding even when you did not realize their value at the time. Each of those moments was shaping something within you. Preparation. You may not have recognized it then, but pieces of your journey were aligning long before the opportunity itself appeared. The struggles built resilience. The isolation built clarity. The delays built patience. All of those elements were quietly preparing you for a door that required exactly the person you were becoming. And when that preparation finally meets the right moment, something powerful happens. The door opens not because it suddenly appeared, but because you finally arrived ready to walk through it. Which leads to the final realization that ties everything together. Number 14, the door that confirms your calling. There is a point in certain journeys when a person realizes something profound. The progress they experienced was never about luck. It was about alignment. When your direction aligns with your preparation, decisions become clearer. Doubt begins fading. The next step becomes easier to recognize because your awareness has sharpened through experience. Psychological research on decision clarity highlights an interesting truth. Individuals with strong internal clarity improve decision accuracy by nearly 61%. When someone understands their purpose and direction, their choices become more precise. You may have felt this change already. Where confusion once lived, there is now quiet certainty. Where hesitation once slowed your steps, there is now measured confidence. You no longer chase every opportunity. Instead, you recognize which doors truly belong to you. Because the right door feels different. It aligns with the person you have become. And when that kind of door opens, something extraordinary happens. Everything begins to make sense. The rejection that once hurt becomes understandable. The waiting seasons reveal their lessons. Even the people who left your life begin to fit into the larger picture of your journey. Which leads to the deeper truth behind all of this. Closed doors were never meant to destroy your path. They were meant to protect it. Philosophical summary. Sometimes life closes doors not to punish you, but to guide you. It redirects your attention. It removes distractions. It prevents you from stepping into places that were never meant to hold your future. And while those moments may feel frustrating when they happen, they serve a powerful purpose. Because when the right door finally opens, something extraordinary occurs. Things align. Opportunities connect with preparation. Conversations happen at the right moment. Environments appear that match the direction you have been quietly moving toward. What once looked like chaos suddenly forms order. And the door in front of you opens with a quiet certainty that cannot easily be explained. Which is why this moment carries such significance. Identity seal. Beloved one. The reason this door cannot close is not because you forced it open. It is not because you convinced someone to allow you through. And it is not because circumstances simply became lucky. The reason this door cannot close is because it was never controlled by people in the first place. It was opened by something greater than opinions, systems, or temporary obstacles. And when a door is opened at that level, opposition loses its power. Doubt loses its authority. Even the voices that once questioned you become quiet. Because the path forward becomes visible. You are not the same person who once stood before those earlier doors wondering why they would not move. You are someone who walked through pressure, learned through waiting, and discovered clarity through experience. And now, the door before you reflects that transformation. Not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will recognize it. But you will. Because the journey behind you prepared you to see what others overlooked. And if this message reached you at the exact moment you needed it, then you probably already understand why. There are times when certain messages appear precisely when someone is ready to hear them. So stay close to this space. Because sometimes the next message arrives at the exact moment another door begins to open.